If you're getting a popping noise while you're carving, it's usually from a loose steering axle. There's a couple of ways of checking to see if you do have a loose steering axle. One way to tell is looking at the gap between the top of your fork and the steering column compression clamp or collar right above the fork. If there's not any space in between that, then you've probably lost the compression on your steering column. The other way to tell is by standing on your trike, putting your brakes on, and simply pushing forward and backwards on your steering column. And you'll see the movement right between the upper headset and the stem. You can also, while you're standing on it, look down and you'll see this movement coming out this way. But you can hear that popping, and it's definitely an obvious loose steering column. Okay, first thing to do is we're going to remove the front fork and wheel assembly from the stem. Okay, there's a couple of ways out there that people can do this as far as recompress their steering axle. The way we do it in the shop, we have a ratchet strap and a plate that we do it with. I'm not going to go into it on this video on how we do that. What I am going to explain is another way that's going to be usually the simplest for the average person out there, the average trike owner, to recompress their steering axle. And what we're going to do is simply use a piece of PVC. We're going to slide it onto the stem post. There's a specific inside diameter you'll need so that it will not slip over the compression collar, and we're just going to slide it over like that. The next step is going to be to loosen the collar Allen bolt. It's 5mm Allen wrench. Just going to go ahead and loosen it up. Now when we loosen it up, we're not going to loosen it all the way. We're going to back it off, and then we're going to tighten it back up just a little bit so that when we tap on the PVC, that this compression collar isn't going to rebound back. So whenever we tap on it, it's going to go down and stay until we get a good compression on the steering axle. We're going to use a rubber mallet. You can use a hammer also. Just be careful you don't crack the PVC. So if you want to go ahead and do that, Russ. So he's going to give it a brisk tap. Go ahead and hit it again. Okay, now we're going to put the fork back on and check the distance between, go ahead and put the fork on. Check the distance between the compression collar and the top of the fork. Okay, as you can see, we have about a 1/16, probably a little bit more than that, distance between the compression collar and the fork. So what we're going to do is remove the fork, and we're going to go ahead and give it a couple more taps. Come on, Ross. Okay, now we're going to put the fork back on, double check. As long as we have that compression collar tight enough to where it's not reflexing back or rebounding back. So we've just about doubled that distance now. Just for giggles, we're going to go ahead and give it another tap just to make sure. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to double check to see if that bolt loosened up any on the compression collar. And actually it did. So I'm going to go ahead and just barely add a little more pressure to it while Russ retaps with the PVC. So go ahead, Russ. Okay, put the fork back on, try again. Alright, we're getting a pretty good gap there. I think we've got it compressed enough because then again we don't want to over compress the steering axle or else we could damage the headset bearings. So I think we're good to go there. We're going to go ahead and tighten everything up and then retest. Okay, we're going to tighten up the steering axle collar. Make sure you tighten it. Go ahead, Russ, I'll let you do it instead of me. There you go. Just make sure you get it real good and snug. Put the fender in place. Try and eyeball to make sure the tire is perpendicular with the handlebars. Okay, now that we've got it all buttoned back up, we're just going to recheck it. I'm going to have Russ put his brakes on and simply push forward and backwards on the steering column. Nice and quiet. We don't see any play in the steering axle.